What's up, Mosh Pit? My name is Geo. Welcome back to another Bricky Warhammer reaction. So, if you haven't seen the other two that I've done, I've already reacted to the Imperium of Man, and the Every Space Marine Legion in a nutshell. So, today we're going to be going over the second part of Every Faction Explained. Again, the first part was going over the Imperium of Man. This part is going into more of the Xenos armies, like the Eldar, the Necrons. I'm really excited about the Necrons because I've got like 1,500 points or something of Necrons on my shelf, and if I remember to, I'll probably post a picture of them. But I'm not good at painting. But we'll just see how things go with this. This is about 58 minutes long, so this is going to be a long one. So if you already have a snack, better get buckled up. Alright, if you haven't already, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and click the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. That's just the YouTube song and dance. Done and out of the way. So, let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Hey all, this is part 2 in a 2-part series on the Warhammer races. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, we do the Imperium of Man. You can check that out in the description, and I would highly recommend you watch that to get context for this episode.
I did.
If
you saw that one?
Go ahead and keep on watching. So
I did. We did see that one.
Nothing but humans. We can now talk about chaos, which involves humans again. But
yay!
A little bit less. We also got demons and shit.
I just felt someone grab my ass.
What?
Like hard, Nick.
So,
we're already going into it with like a Ghost Adventures reference.
I just felt someone grab my ass.
what?
Like hard, Nick.
Like
So,
hard,
as I
Nick.
mentioned many times before, we discussed the war, the immaterium, the hellish landscape, the purgatory dimension realm between the material realm of our existence. Now, in the warp, it's terrifying, horrible. There are demons everywhere. Things are crazy. All your minds and thoughts and emotions get projected there. It is both
Hooray for
the
the mind losing track of everything.
It obeys the laws of time and physics while simultaneously does absolutely nothing of the sort. It is a hodgepodge and a culmination of just unknowable, eldritch, horrifying shit. And there are 4 gods that permeate in chaos and the warp.
Khorne, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, and Nurgle. We know Nurgle is Asmongold. We know that Slaanesh is basically every Ethot to ever exist. Tzeentch and Khorne, I don't exactly remember what I said, if I said anything. But and I keep thinking, like, Khorne, oh, it's the band Khorne. No, it's not.
These are the 4 major chaos gods. And if we wish to learn about chaos, we need to learn about each and every single one of these chaos gods.
Tzeentch is pretty cool, though.
We have Khorne, and he is the easiest. Khorne is
He is
all about anger, murder, fighting, blood, guts, death. You ever heard the term blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne? That's Khorne. The whole idea is that he is all about the fury and strength of battle. He doesn't care where blood comes from, so long as blood is flowing. He wants to fight and murder and carnage and slaughter and death, 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 death. That is Khorne. Very simple to understand. Next up, you have Tzeentch, and Tzeentch is the god of change. However, the god of change, it's permeates in so many different other ways. He's the most eldritch of all the demon gods. He has this weird way to always be plucking at the strings of the universe.
So he has a mouth up there with, like, holes, I think, but then he also has, like, a mouth here, kind of. This is all teeth. And he has a crotch mouth. And it has teeth. All of them have sharp teeth.
He's always conniving and scheming and doing his best to cause as much little bullshit.
I might do this, but then again I might not. You don't know what I'm gonna do, and yet you will know what I will do at the same time. It's a mystery, and yet it's not.
Type of death.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do next, even though I do.
All foretold and also changeable. It is set in stone while also completely random.
It's the, you know, like the videos that, like, back when they were popular, like, never know your opponent's next move. That's basically Tzeentch. Like, somebody goes to bend down and they like take their shoe off, and then they put it up to their face as if they're talking into it. And then like what else is there? I don't even remember because like they go down and bend over like they're tying their shoe, and then they do a somersault for no reason. But I need to figure out, like, I need to find one of those videos to like properly showcase what I'm thinking, because like if that's what Tzeentch is, then that's a pretty good visualization of what Tzeentch is.
He knows what everything is going to happen, and also that none of it's going to happen. You would ask Tzeentch a question, and that question leads to 3 more questions, and those questions lead to the heat death of the universe, which asks 4 answers to those questions, and then he thinks to himself, what are questions even really? And are you even asking the questions, or are you simply giving paths to answers and other horse shit? Tzeentch is just, I'm gonna fuck with stuff. He is yes and he is no. He is the understanding and he is complexity. He is unknowable. And that's what the God of Change is about. Very bizarre. And he likes birds a lot.
I see that.
Why. Next up we got.
It's like Thousand Suns. Thousand Suns likes Thousand Suns like a lot of birds with their ancient Egyptian space wizards.
Papa Nurgle. Papa Nurgle.
Papa Nurgle. It's Asmongold.
You are probably not. He will murder you just the same. But Papa Nurgle is about rot, pestilence, death, and decay. He is the end of everything. Him and Tzeentch do not like each other very much, because where Tzeentch represents change and adjustment, Nurgle represents stagnation and death. He is all about miasma and pestilence and large bloat and pus.
This art is fantastic, and it's visceral, and it's disgusting.
Sloth. He is the idea that everything will rot and decay and die. Nothing is certain besides decay and death. All of us will end up the same way, and broken down through just sheer never-ending decomposition. So
the green legs with the tail.
Generally because of that, because we all end up the same. We all rot and we all die and wither. That's Nurgle, and he's got.
Yeah, Nurgle is half of the 2 inevitabilities of life. The other half is taxes. That's probably going to be the 5th chaos god. 2 inevitabilities in life: death and taxes.
The general theme of course, pestilence and different kinds of diseases and sickness and things of that nature. That's generally Nurgle. He's pretty easy to understand as well, and he chonk. Finally, we have the youngest of the Chaos Gods, and that is Slaanesh, also known as the Prince of Pleasure or the God of Unspeakable Excess.
It's funny how Slaanesh you censor them now. You censor this image now, even though it wasn't censored before.
It's just, that's a good avenue if you want to make stuff. Slaanesh is just the idea of the senses of the body being cranked to not just 11, but more like 17. See, we'll discuss Slaanesh a little bit more when we talk about the Eldar, because they done fucked up. But
yeah, they did.
It, or whatever, is mainly about just the excess of emotions. And therefore, sex is generally a large part of it. However, it's mostly pain and torture. Lots of pain, torture, but sometimes sexually related or drug related. Lots of drugs.
That tongue has teeth.
Slaanesh gets off on everything. Extremes in happiness, extremes in sadness, extremes in pain and sadism and masochism. And of course, that goes along with the sex part of it as well.
Yay.
It's generally referred to with sex because of the color scheme, very purple, lots of exposed genitalia. A lot of their models have like exposed nipples and stuff. And that is generally the theme you go for from a physical side, but it really embodies everything, mainly pain and also the excessive amounts of emotion. So when it comes down to it, you'll find a lot of them have things like spikes or whips or any kind of BDSM style gear.
I was literally about to say that. It's like, yeah, you've ever been to, I've never been to one, but have you ever been to like an adult shop and they had that section? That's Slaanesh if it was that section times 20.
It is unspeakable excess, the Prince of Pleasure, everything in excess to the point where it is just sheer frightening. That is Slaanesh in a nutshell. A little bit bizarre and a little hard to describe sometimes, but as we talk more about the Dark Eldar later in this video, you'll understand it far, better and far more than you'd want to. Now you might be thinking, why would anyone ever want to join chaos. They all look horrifying, screwed up, and just frightening things, right? Well, the thing is that, of course, one, your mind is put into the warp and the immaterium, so you can be easily swayed by chaos demons when they get into your head, especially if you're psyker. Sometimes regiments of the less mentally strong people, whether they be civilians or, say, low-level guardsmen or conscripts, can be easily swayed by this and become chaos cultists and stuff, and they serve their dark gods and whatever god they personally prefer. However, and this might seem strange, chaos in their own right isn't necessarily evil. See, the warp is every manifestation. While
chaos might not necessarily be evil, it is the what people do with the chaos that they deal with that then makes it evil.
Of emotion and being, every soul, everything of existence. This includes all the good things. All the different chaos gods have another side to their coin. Khorne might be death, murder, slaughter, slaughter, but he's also got this weird sense of survival of the fittest, trial by combat, and honor. Khorne will never lie to you.
Honor, honor.
In the back. Khorne isn't about conniving and scheming. Khorne is about straight up mano-y-mano, you versus me, get in the ring, we're gonna murder each other hard right now. It may not be a good thing at the end of the day, but it is that other side of the coin. Him and Tzeentch generally don't get along because Tzeentch is that conniving schemer, but he's also about the idea of hope. Where there is change for your predicament. There is change for your problem. The hope of the galaxy, the ability to bend the world to your will, the idea that your fate is not set in stone, but in reality that you control your own destiny and can control it whenever you want, the changer of ways. That is Tzeentch. And of course, Tzeentch and Nurgle hate each other because while Nurgle does represent stagnation, death, and decay, he also represents finality and ending. The fact that you can be mentally at peace knowing that you will end and how you will end. Fear of the unknown, fear of change is not present with Nurgle. With Nurgle, everything will rot and die, and that provides that finality.
Papa Nurgle will always love you.
This is over. We are all the same, and we will all end the same. We know the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to live and die and rot. And with that, it brings peace of mind. Slaanesh is a lot more simple. While they are the excess of emotion, they are also the representation of emotion. Slaanesh embodies happiness. Slaanesh embodies excitement and joy and pleasure, not only in the sense of the physical, you know, bam, but also everything else like food and drink and air on your cheek and sunlight.
You mean Slaanesh is also like this protein drink that I'm having? That because I missed breakfast and now I'm having to drink protein drinks instead to supplement while I wait for like lunch to show up?
Feeling, emotion and feeling. All of that is also represented with Slaanesh. So you have to ask, why are they always represented as super evil skulls and spikes on everything? And
it's Warhammer.
I don't really got an answer for you on that one. My assumption is that because mentally humans may think worse thoughts, even if we don't act on them, and therefore they're projected in the warp more. That one's a little bit weird. I don't know. This is me spitballing right now, but I don't know. You need a super bad guy. You already got the Imperium of Man. You need somebody to be a little bit worse than them. So you got demons. Honestly, who cares?
Got demons.
I just want to buy like a bird magician. Look at him. So cool. So combining all this together on the tabletop, Chaos Demons are generally very melee based. They run in, go really hard. You have lots of summoning and conjuring, tons of spells. Generally a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons.
Yeah, there's like the great unclean one.
Boys and tons of big guys. Demons are as they seem. Demons. Nurgle is slow, Khorne is super scary in melee, you've got Tzeentch who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then Slaanesh who is all melee, really fast but squishy, but in lots of hordes of tons of melee and pain damage, of course. So overall, the demons are a
that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
And a massive threat to almost every single faction with the exception of a couple. However, the big part about demons is also transferred into the other 9 Primarchs we didn't talk about, which are the Chaos Space Marines.
The Chaos Space Marines. Let's go.
So Horus and all of his boys All of them in the
SpongeBob is
Primarchs,
trying to summon
they
the
have all
Pioneers.
also become Chaos Boys, and they all have their own special Chaos Legions, specializing in so many different things, just like the Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death, the regular Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines aren't a whole lot different than the regular Space Marines. They have the same armor, generally the same training and toughness. They just specialize in different kinds of things. And also, a lot of the Primarchs have ascended into
pre-heresy to post-heresy. No, Morty,
They're
why?
Demon Primarchs at this point. Gigantic, horrifying man-demon hybrids that are pretty awesome, if I'm going to be honest. They look really, really cool. But them and their
even before the heresy, they look pretty badass.
Are all kind of going out there and causing a large ruckus for everyone else. Considering the raw strength and firepower of a legion of Space Marines, imagine that entire legion just converting to chaos and immediately fighting you. It's generally pretty horrifying. There's a lot of them, so
I can imagine. Like, imagine, like, it's like the betrayal of Anakin to Obi-Wan. Like, Anakin converting to the dark side, and then fighting him, but then it's like, think of it like happening 9 times over, maybe 10 times over if there's like 20 each, but it's still like the half of your like forces just split off and then decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna do this now, and screw you for not letting me do that, yada yada yada. It's the whole, like, it's the same thing, kind of, sort of. A bit more grim darkness, but at the same time, we got more of this.
Gotta write them down. But you've got the Emperor's Children with Primarch Fulgrim, loyal to Slaanesh. These people, they are some messed up people. They're just sensory overload, tons of drugs, tons of torture. And I think Fulgrim is a demon Primarch right now, and oh god, I am terrified.
A sneaky snaky snake.
Like, at least on the tabletop, because the Emperor's Children are not good people. You've got the Iron Warriors, which are kind of like opposite of the Imperial Fists, with Primarch Perturabo, I believe is his name.
Peter Turbo.
They just kind of serve chaos in a general aspect instead of choosing one of the 4. But the Iron Warriors are big on the siege and fortification, and they're basically entirely against the Imperial Fists and a major rival. Perturabo, I believe, is also still alive, and I'm also very interested to see what he looks like, because Demon Primarchs are badass. You've got the Night Lords with Primarch Conrad Kurz.
Yep.
Conrad Kurz is dead, which is good because he's a sick fuck. But the Night Lords are generally about terrorizing people and terrorism.
Chaos, vampires.
Fear, and rightly so. You've got the World Eaters with Primarch Angron. Still,
that art is so visceral. I might not even.
Also excited to see Angron. If you think you've known an angry person, Angron is the angriest son of a bitch you will ever know.
His name is Angron.
Removed parts of his brain that didn't make him angry, so he could be angrier. Angron. Fucker's mad. You've got the Death Guard with Primarch Mortarion. They actually have their own special codex and their own major army on the tabletop. Mortarion himself is actually one of the models, and look at him. Look at him. It's so cool looking. Of course, Nurgle based, obviously.
Yeah, Nurgle.
So very slow, but very tanky. You've got the Word Bearers with Primarch Lorgar. Lorgar is, I believe, still alive. I don't know what's up with him at the current moment, but the Word Bearers are generally the people who caused all the major problems in the beginning. At least I blame them for it. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch Horus. Get
Horus.
fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch Alfarius Omegon. Chaos, I think. And then finally, you've got the Thousand Sons with Primarch Magnus the Nerd. The Thousand Sons
Magnus
also have
the
their own
Nerd.
book just with the Death Guard. Magnus is also a tabletop model.
I mean, that model of Magnus, it looks awesome. I mean, I don't play Thousand Sons. I haven't even played the game. I haven't played anything because I was trying to build up my army, but now that I'm like more into like Gunpla over like Warhammer, because I have like how many Gunpla kits? Let me see. I gotta count. Let's see. I have the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high grades, 6 high grades, 6 high grades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 master grades. Four of the now currently 5 master grade SDs that are available. And then most of my collection is, of course, real grade, with my most recent addition to my collection being the real grade Zeong, which is a huge, chunky piece of plastic, and it's a very nice char suit too. But so like I've got for the Necrons, I've got like the Wraiths, 3 packs of Necron Warriors, like 12 Scarabs. Again, I'm only allowed to run like 2 or something like that. Like 20 Necron Warriors and 3 Scarabs. But again, like I think I might want to go for like the Tesla cannons over the Gauss blasters. I have like the Kill Team box. There's really not much. I also have Emotes the Stormlord and the guy that has like the pink sphere of magic in his staff. I don't know, but like Emotes the Stormlord is awesome. I'm glad that I painted him. And I think if I'm gonna remember this, I have to post a picture of what my Emotes looks like. And I hope my paint job does him justice.
Looks super cool, as you can tell, and they're all super heavily Psyker and kind of Egyptian themed. They look pretty neat, but overall, with all of these Chaos Space Marine factions, you can play as a lot of different ones, but the main ones that you can really work at are standard Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, as well as the Death Guard and Thousand Suns, as they are the most fleshed out, especially on the tabletop at least. See this right here? This is a really good way to describe the Chaos Space Marines. What the thick-headed fools with their broken corpse of an emperor
flashbanged with a white wall of text,
but they cannot hide or flee or shield themselves from the triumph of chaos. They are finite and we are unbound, undivided. They must not err, or they shall fall to heresy. All who fall join our cause. Every imperial fool who dares to open his eyes is a willing recruit. They strive merely to hold back our fury and might, and it consumes them. Thus, you can see chaos is inevitable. We lurk not only beyond their grasp and at their gates, we lurk within the darkness of their souls, on the tip of their tongues, in their tortured dreams. We are them, but freed from the shackles of ignorance. We are them, grown strong, evolved. We are them, but so much more. As hardcore as that quote is, the saddest part is they're mostly right. Chaos is basically unkillable. You could probably get rid of Space Marines, a decent amount, the Chaos Space Marines that is, but every soul that dies goes to the warp.
It goes back into the warp.
Soul will end up back in the warp. And depending on how hard you killed them, they will come back at some point. Every demon you banish will return at some point. Chaos is unstoppable. The warp is unending. And while maybe there is at some point some way to stop them somehow, the resources to do so, the requirements to do so, are so far beyond the reaches of man and the other races at the current moment that really it's just an unstoppable force that just keeps on coming. And it's
well, the years start coming and they don't stop 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 coming.
Just barely being slowed.
It's
Chaos
literally
is by far
that.
the biggest threat. They are without number. Their legions are everywhere, and yeah, they're pretty scary. So,
like the Screamer helmets for the Space Marines, they look pretty cool.
Xenos.
Here we go. Chaos done. Now we're going to Xenos.
The Eldar, or also known as the Eldari, which are a super hyper specialized and very technologically advanced race.
Space elves.
Well, elf people. They were as well responsible for the creation of Slanesh,
Yay.
the newest demon god. How'd they do that? Debauchery on a world-ending scale. See, back in the day, it was just corn.
Debauchery!
And the Eldar are very, very ancient. Millions of years. These Eldar, however, have a bit of a sensory problem. You know, every kind of pain or feeling that you have is a little bit amplified compared to the normal. However, with Eldar, as their race advanced so excessively, and they became so self-reliant, and everything became so easy, there was no requirement for food production anymore, there was no shortages, everything was basically done. Everyone was so comfortable, and that comfort breeded this weird sedation, and that sedation breeded the requirement for more and more debauchery.
Debauchery! Debauchery!
Debauchery! When everything you have...
That's the banned SpongeBob episode. I gotta show that to Postal when we actually get back to watching SpongeBob again, because we only watched the first 4 episodes, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's up on my Patreon if you want to check that out. But we just have the reaction up there because, you know, copyright law and everything. So
can be so easily acquired, you will end up down this road of pure debauchery. All of the senses the Eldar had that were so powerful, things like feeling, happiness, sadness, and just evil and good, all needed to be satisfied and satiated. And the desire to satiate these senses grew more and more with worse and worse debauchery. It started off with things like sex and drugs becoming so much more rampant because these are the first things you generally
Christmas
turn to
elf
when
legs.
requirements for living are so easily accessible. It would get to the point that made Sander Cohen in BioShock look sane.
Yeah, having played BioShock before, he was very eccentric to say the least. But that was like way before I debuted as a VTuber, so I might want to replay BioShock 1 and 2 and maybe actually play Infinite for the channel. I won't do it unless there's enough demand for it, so if you want to see that, let me know.
Alright, this is the kind of debauchery it led to. It was constantly satisfying and satiating these sexual and sadistic or masochistic fantasies that only elevated and elevated, and this was species-wide. People started going down darker, more depraved, and more violent paths as time went on. However, some people didn't entirely take to that. Some of the Eldar were looking at this depraved species that they had become and said, no thanks for me, dog, I'm
no
good.
Thanks.
And they bailed. These are the Craft World Eldar. They left on these giant continent-sized starships called Craft Worlds. They believed in learning the old ways of the Eldar and pushing away from this depravity and debauchery and going back to their main roots. And so they would segment themselves on these giant craft worlds far in the outer reaches of space. They even had this thing called the
ships look
Webway.
awesome.
Remember what we mentioned about warp travel with the Imperium? Well, the Eldar had something way safer called a Webway. And the Eldar Webway is actually like a pocket dimension kind of thing. And in that pocket dimension, there were also more horrible, depraved groups and clans that would spend their time in there. And if you imagine the debauchery was bad already, these were debauchery X10. So all of this continued.
Oh no.
And it continued and it bloated until Slaanesh just burst forth. All that emotion, all that mental, well, thought processes, I suppose, all of this in such a condensed space. Don't forget, this is all being shot, all their souls as well, into the warp. All this depravity right into the warp. So what happened? Boom. Slaanesh was birthed and killed off 90% of the entire Eldar population. Untold trillions had their souls ripped from their bodies and their actual fleshy bodies devoured by Slaanesh demons. The entirety of the Eldar race was eaten alive and their souls consumed to the Prince of Pleasure. All of them got fucked up. It was so bad that it literally ripped
it makes sense.
a warp hole into the fabric of the materium called the Eye of Terror. That's literally this like quasi-horrifying gateway portal from the materium.
Like, there's like a bunch of like tentacles, there's teeth, there's like giant like energy creatures that somehow also have eyes, noses, and like really weird teeth. I don't know how they're able to do that with like all the energy and stuff, but oh boy, like he's covering the Eye of Terror naturally. I don't know what is covering. I don't know what's in the Eye of Terror, but I'm pretty sure it lives up to its namesake.
And the Immaterium right next to Cadia. And it is horrifying. So this Slaanesh, also known as She Who Thirsts, by the Eldar, slaughtered.
I need to let my my LewDtuber friends know about this. Like they are encapsulated by the influence of Slaanesh, whereas I'm just an autistic guy on the internet who likes to play guitar. And if you want to check out what I do on guitar, you can check out my music channel if you want, but we're here to talk about Warhammer.
The entire population, except for a couple. Those in the craft worlds were actually not affected by this, as they were so far in the reaches of the galaxy. That crazy crack, that birth of Slaanesh, only affected the ones in the center. So these craft world Eldar were able to escape, but Slaanesh got their sights on them. Every time an Eldar will die, their soul doesn't just pass into the warp naturally. It goes straight to Slaanesh, craft world or not. What about those people in the webway? Well, imagine that giant birth happening, but they were only able to just barely get a grasp onto you. Slaanesh was just barely able to hold on. These people are the Dark Eldar, or also known as
Drukhari.
the Drukhari. The Eldar population
the Drow Elves.
So massively small. It is minuscule compared to any of the other most of the other populations in the universe. The Eldar are consistently having issues trying to get their population up, because as their souls are constantly being hungered from Slaanesh, they realize their entire species is doomed. And they understand it very well. Since the time of the fall, our race has been haunted by what we, in our reckless pursuit of hedonistic indulgence, gave birth to. Though our dreams once overturned worlds and quenched suns, we are now but fitful shadows clinging to the edge of existence. All the stars in the sky cannot blot out the hateful glare of the red moon's eye. The birthing place of the great enemy pulses with all the malice of a demon that is dreaming, casting its shadow over all we have ever done and all we ever shall. Every twisted strand of fate and casting of the runes leads me to this time, to this place, and it is clear that the final battle awaits me at the ancient Crone worlds, a conflict the likes of which has not been seen since the Mon-Kai warred amongst themselves and their corpse of a seer fell to the sun. Is coming, and all my steps lead towards it, no matter that I walk other paths. I see the stars stained red with the blood of the Mon-Kai, and though their wars do not concern me, I would gladly let them destroy one another. I know that to avoid this fight is to condemn my race to inevitable doom, and though all I see is darkness, I know that I will not flinch from my destiny.
Is it true that also Gilliman is in like a relationship with like an Eldar? Like, I've seen a bunch of fan art all over Twitter about it. Again, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's like an actual like it's canon now event, but that's what I've been seeing all across like Warhammer Twitter. And I haven't seen much of Warhammer Twitter because I've been trying to get more of VTuber Twitter back, but there's more. There's more to it than just that, I'm certain of it.
And now let's talk about cute plastic models.
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
The first playable race we have for the Eldar are the Craft World Eldar and living in those Craft World starships I mentioned earlier. And each of them have their own kind of craft world, almost like a Space Marine Legion. Each craft world is in itself its own special kind of group. And the Eldar themselves are very fast and rely a lot on trickery. They are squishy, a bit weak, but they're very in tune as psychers. Tons of psychers across the entire Eldar population, and their weaponry and abilities are fast and extremely hard-hitting, but of course rather fragile. Understanding an Eldar's brain is an exercise in futility. They are all over the place in confusion and trickery on a whole galactic scale. They fight weird, they think weirder, and Eldar in their own right really rely on this to keep their species alive. They need to think about deception and the strangeness of what they do if they truly want to not be immediately murdered and slaughtered wholesale thanks to their entirely small population. However, I must say that it seems like their population is getting slightly better. These craft worlds hold millions upon millions of people, and as they continually, reproduce and have their craft worlds expand, losing a few people in battle, while hurts a lot, they aren't really losing what's extremely precious to them. It's not like every single death means the death of their species. It seems like they're kind of on the upturn a little bit. They're still a doomed race being sucked into Slaanesh every time someone dies, but they are definitely doing a little bit better than they were before. Eldar are fast.
So they can still reproduce, but they still have to be like careful as to not like succumb to their emotions and then become, I think, a Drukhari. It could be different, but that's what I'm getting out of it. Because like, if these elves feel like their emotions are going just a little bit too far, they could be sucked back in a little bit, for a lack of a better term. They could be sucked back in and switch sub-factions.
Hunting, and what they don't make up for in tankiness, they make up for in extremely advanced weaponry. They also call humans Monkai, which is something I mentioned earlier.
Monkai!
That is a derogatory slur for humans in the Warhammer world. Why is it called Monkai? Well, it's because you can't, in your game, call people monkeys.
Monkey!
On the tabletop, exactly what I said. Not very tanky, generally pretty squishy, hit me like trucks, and move at Mach 5. Fast, hit hard, die fast. Exactly how it sounds. They've been good for a very long time, too. We bring only death and leave.
And yet there's not that many models, and those models seem to look, these models look fairly old.
And move at Mach 5. Fast,
these giant
hard,
robots look pretty cool too, though.
Exactly how it sounds. They've been good for a very long time, too. We bring only death and leave only carrion. It is a message even a human can understand. Eldar. So, Drukhari. Let's talk about the Dark Eldar.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up Is Fucked Up. That's fucked up.
So those people I mentioned in the webway, in the super deranged cults and the depraved people of the Eldar, in the webway, they didn't quite get a hold onto them. Slaanesh has them, but it has them on by the pinky finger. And they're slowly being consumed by Slaanesh, but they found out they can stave her off by doing Slaanesh things. The Dark Eldar are by far the worst, most horrifying, disgusting, depraved, and brutal race in all of Warhammer 40k.
So, worse than Night Lords and worse than Emperor's Children? Or are they not as bad as them, but they could be? I have a feeling that they are leaning on the side of worse than Emperor's Children, and definitely worse than the Night Lords.
Okay. These are entirely a group of people whose full purpose to save their species from extinction, to go into planets, raid them, and take as many slaves as they possibly can to torture them for 1, 5, 10, 20, a million years, because that torture will keep them from dying. They look very BDSM style too. They definitely have a lot more spiky bits and they have a lot more of that kind of leathery black look to them. But example, let's say you are an upstanding Imperial citizen, living life on a regular planet. You get invaded by the Necrons. The Necrons will shoot you with a deatomizer, and you will be destroyed in a millisecond, and that's it. Not the worst way to go. You are invaded by Chaos Marines or something. You take a bolter shot to the head or a chain sword across your stomach, and you get cut in half. Painful, but not the worst.
Even if you get even if you get the soda can sized bolt into the face, you're gonna be gone before you even realize you got hit. So, again, not the worst way to go. Okay, orcs.
The orcs arrive. They beat you to death. Hurts, but whatever. Tyranids, they eat you alive. It's pretty rough.
That's rough, buddy.
Dark Eldar. The Dark Eldar. This is going to get a little graphic. I apologize. You pray you die. You don't. You are instead taken as a human slave. Your life will be endless work and agony, 24/7. They will make sure you can't not die, as your pain satisfies them. They will hook you up to all manner of torture devices. They will inject pain-based stimuli drugs directly into your nervous system. They will slowly run razor blades across your skin. They will fillet you and just pull out your teeth and your fingernails one by one. They will remove your fingernails skin and wait for it to grow back so they can do it again. They will murder and torture and use the R word, it rhymes with grape, your entire family in front of you, and do the exact same thing to them. You yourself will also be rhymes with grape anywhere and everywhere possible. And this will occur for 20 years until you are no longer satisfying to them. And then you will be contorted, crushed, and twisted into some form of trophy. A fleshy trophy, or a ring, or a couch, or a TV stand, or perhaps a wonderful hat. While you are, of course, still alive and breathing. And you will become a moaning, fleshy trophy for eternity.
Yeah, that's Lovecraftian, and that's horrifying.
You are taken by the Dark Eldar. They are
body
the
horror,
most depraved, most horrifying race in all of 40k. They look the part, and they do it so they all don't die. They are literally forced to do this, because if they don't, Slaanesh's grip will get harder, and they will have their souls pulled away. So long as they keep doing this, Slaanesh is like, "You're doing good, man. You're doing solid. You keep that shit up, you elf-eared bastards." That's the Dark Eldar. That's the Drukhari. They are horrible. On the tabletop, they're actually kind of like Eldar, but more extreme. They are even squishier than the Eldar, but they hit generally even harder. Fast attacks, skirmishers, really quick, speedy, get around them, do a lot of damage.
These sail barges are kind of cool, though.
Dark Eldar. Look at the definition of grim dark.
From a model
standpoint, you'll
standpoint.
find a picture of the Dark Eldar, and Sev from Republic Commando.
Oh, not Sev.
Mr. Vect. "We are the lords of despair, masters of terror. Dread and agony are our meat and wine, and they are plentiful indeed."
You know the meme of Matthew McConaughey smoking a cigarette while he's looking at something? That's basically my reaction to the entirety of the Dark Eldar.
Dark Eldar. Let's talk about the Harlequins. Clowns.
What's the matter, Andy? Don't you want to have some fun?
The Harlequins are a bizarre race of Eldar. They're demonic clown performers.
You want to know how I got
They're like
these
a weird mix
scars,
of
Betsy?
Sandra Clone from BioShock and Jin from League of Legends, but in a more clown.
Don't remind me
They're
of my
artists
League of Legends
death
phase.
and perfecters of their craft. They do not belong to Craft Worlds or any of the weird Drukhari people. They guard something called the Black Library, which is this giant tome of never-ending knowledge.
Those pants.
In the heart of the Eldar Webway, and also guarded by their god named Kegorok, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Kegorok?
He is the laughing god, but it's the Eldar's laughing god, and these are the Harlequins, the Harlequin clowns. These are Eldar clowns, okay? So imagine the things that an Eldar, these depraved individuals, would find funny, and this is the god of that. It's a horror clown. These are gods of horror for us normal people. For them, they're like,
Georgie.
oh, it's so funny. They're all dying
Beep,
horribly.
Richie.
Honk, honk. They're very
Honk.
bizarre and difficult to describe. They've escaped the ruinous powers of Slaanesh somehow, but their main thing is guarding that Black Library, and the Harlequins just... They're demon clown performers. They're barely any models on the tabletop. They're good at
As of the time of filming that video,
demon
anyway.
clowns. I'm not sure. I got a quote. "It is too easy for an Eldar to embrace the obscene virtues of chaos, for Slaanesh is nothing more than a manifestation of the Eldar mind in its most wild and unconstrained form. Human morality is meaningless to the Eldar, and to the dark side of the Eldar mind, all life is to be expended at a whim.
Typo.
Cruelty and generosity are but the impulse of a moment. Beauty and sensuality are virtues that can be expressed in bloodshed just as easily as in song. To an unfettered Eldar mind, there is neither sanity nor madness, but merely a wave of perfect existence fulfilled by its own savage momentum." They're very strange. The Harlequins, Drukhari, Eldar, they are an anomaly that make humans seem completely easy to understand in comparison. They range from rekindling their civilization to horrifying murder and also clowns. They're all over the place, but honestly,
the clowns are the weird ones.
Quite well and are rather interesting, especially with the whole Slanesh murdering everyone bit. So, yeah, Eldar.
I mean, they're still cool, but they're still weird.
Ma, they following me, Ma. They following me.
The bugs.
The bug!
The Tyranids. Now, you want to talk something a lot more fun, a little more simple than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans? Let's talk the Tyranids.
The
They're
Nids.
bugs. Do they look like Zerg? Hell yeah, they look like Zerg. You want to know why they look like Zerg? Because they were actually supposed to be what Zerg were. Apparently StarCraft was supposed to be a 40k game in the beginning.
Really?
Hence why they look so much like Eldar, Zerg, and the Imperium of Man. Like, kind of Space Marine-y. Those Marines, huh?
Yeah.
They look a little bit Space Marine-y to me. Maybe. I don't know.
A little bit.
Really fucked up on that one, Games Workshop, didn't ya? Tyranids are a giant infestation of unfathomable proportions. These are giant, extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms that are based...
Like, again, going back to the whole, like, StarCraft 2 to 40k, yeah, they look very, very similar. I understand why. If Blizzard at the time was supposed to be making a 40k game, and then Games Workshop pulled out for some weird reason, again, lack of a better term, and they still wanted, and Blizzard still wanted to make a game, they just made StarCraft. We have something interesting here. I'm not much of a Blizzard game consumer, because I never played WoW, and I only played Overwatch for like a year, maybe 2. And I haven't played Overwatch since like season 2 of when Overwatch 2 came out, and now Overwatch 2 isn't even a thing anymore. It's just back to Overwatch. Yeah, Overwatch 2 was a huge failure.
Workshop, didn't ya? Tyranids are a giant infestation of unfathomable proportions. These are giant, extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms that are basically all about absorbing as much biomass as they possibly can to evolve.
Again, a lot of Eldritch themes
extremely
coming through with the Tyranids.
And kill and eat anything in their path. They are probably the least evil faction in all of 40k, because all they want to do is...
They're acting on
They
instinct.
want to nom the entire galaxy. They hangry.
Tyranids just act on instinct. They're not actively malicious.
Has a presence in the warp. In fact, Tyranids in their own right have a massive presence in the warp. They have a thing called the Shadow in the warp specifically.
Oh.
When they are coming in to invade a planet, they have this weird ability to kind of cut off the warp on all the psychers on that planet. And how do you get help across the stars? Well, you need the warp, because you need that for interstellar travel. So with people unable to call for help from the Tyranids, these are just easy pickings. And an entire giant Tyranid hive fleet comes out of orbit and just will massacre, absorbing all that biomass and turning them and all of their other Tyranids into even more advanced monsters. They come in so many varieties too, all based on...
Since the Tyranids are in Space Marine 2, I'm feeling inclined to want to replay Space Marine 2 for the channel, because I played it in my own time back when my tower was not able to play and stream the game at the same time with all my VTubing software. Now with my new tower, I probably could do it, because like I'm able to play Helldivers with like max settings and still run and stream and play everything like just fine. I don't know how. I mean, like, it's probably because I moved up from a 3070 to a 5080, but that's probably one of the reasons why.
What is important? Tiny little Ripper swarms for scouting and having little dudes eat people up, to the Hormagaunts, Termagants, and Gene Stealers, all
Hey,
the way
Gene
to
Stealers.
the Hive Guard and the Exocrines and the Swarm Lord, to Hive Tyrants and their giant battle fleets, and even something as crazy as the Hierophant Bio-Titans. The Tyranids come in all forms and sizes depending on what they require. They are extremely good at anti-biological weaponry. There is no way you can plague them or blight them. They have extremely strong armor, carapaces and such. Tyranids are nigh perfect organisms and are pretty spooky when it comes down to how they handle all of their genetic material. Keep feeding them, they keep evolving. They keep on creating new horrifying organisms.
Very Cthulhu-esque.
Spread across the galaxy.
Very Predator.
You know what the most terrifying part of the Tyranids is? We might be surrounded. There have been like around 6 or 7 Tyranid...
Again! Oh no! This meme follows me everywhere, I swear.
We might be surrounded. There have been like around 6 or 7
Kevin, Kevin.
Kronos, all
I
these different
hate
kinds
that
of
meme.
hive fleets,
And it
they
follows me
all
everywhere.
Arrived in the galaxy from different points. Different sections of the Milky Way galaxy have had different Tyranids come through. And that is horrifying because as far as we know, we could just be surrounded on all sides by Tyranids. The only reason you may not hear a whole lot about Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have a bunch of story off of one hive mind genocidal monsters. All these giant bugs swarming in, killing and eating everybody and evolving. I mean, as cool as there are, there's some cool characters, the Swarm Lord, Old One Eye. You can't really have a whole bunch of major character-based stories around them. As awesome as they are, they're simple. They want to eat you. They want to eat you and absorb your biomass. They are simple bugs. If you want something a little more complex, talk Gene Stealer cults.
I can have all the pot I want, I get around faster than walking, and wherever I need a seat, I can just sit on my balls.
Gene Stealer cults are a special brand of Tyranid that can slowly infect themselves into different kinds of society. And by infecting them, they can rise
love
up
South Park.
to where they all pray and
that was
believe
peak South
in
Park,
these
medicinal
real-
fried
regular
chicken.
humans pray and believe into their Tyranid hive mind gods. And these brood lords and I think they're called patriarchs all can turn an entire world all based into Gene Stealers. And these are called Gene Stealer cults. An entire hive world of the Imperium can be turned into nothing but servants to the Tyranid masters just by infecting them and screwing with their genetic code a little bit. They also
Why wasn't Darktide like this? I mean, like, the Nurgle stuff is cool, and I wish that Fat Shark would have given us a Plague Marine as a boss fight, but that's neither here nor there. This also makes sense, the Gene Stealer cults. Fat Shark, get on it.
saw this cool like Mad Max look, which is really neat.
That Shark
They are
and Games
definitely
Workshop.
one of the bigger
Please.
threats to the Imperium besides Chaos. I keep saying biggest threat to the Imperium. They're up there though because you, dingus, stepped on a bug in middle school.
Oh,
Asshole. There is a
dang it.
cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale. And all we can do is to try to stop the swarms of bioengineered monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salvage our fears. We call it the Tyranid race. But if it is aware of us, it must know us as nothing but prey. Tyranids, they're cool.
and the Helldivers 2 Terminids. 40k Tyranids or Helldivers Terminids. Take your pick.
But are they as cool as the orcs?
The Orcs!
Screen's gone red! That means I'm super fast!
Super fast! Orcs.
I fucking love orcs. So, yes, the green monsters, the green tide, the green skins. These orcs, they
the
are in fact
fungal
a race
tide.
in 40k. The orcs are as exactly what you expect them. They have archaic weapons, they're big boys, they have axes, and they have got big old teeth, and they want to kill everything, and there are so many of them.
And they have the power of
only reason
imagination.
They haven't taken over the entire galaxy is they can't stop murdering each other. Orcs are so cool. Orcs don't have philosophy. Orcs don't have existential crisis. What matters is who's the biggest orc. You listen to that guy because he the biggest orc. He big orc. Big orc knows best. You win
Big
through the
orc,
power of
the boss.
imagination. Of all the races I have battled throughout the galaxy, the orc is the hardest to comprehend. They wage war with machines that should not work, care little for strategic gains, and are just as likely to slaughter each other as the enemy. How does one battle an enemy that defies all logic? As an orc, you're enjoying life.
Power of imagination.
The life you're given. Your whole life and job and purpose is to get up and beat each other to death because you can. The biggest orc is the man who understands everything. He is the boss. And orcs have this really weird, like, big, dumb, stereotype British accent, which is just hilarious to me. Those are orcs. You fight. You like to fight. Your whole purpose is to fight.
And it helps that Games Workshop is a British company, but
you got your boss over there, and you better listen to the boss, because if you don't listen to the boss will squish you and make you an example for the other orcs, and then you can't fight because orc dead. And orc dead can't fight because orc dead. Orcs.
Yeah.
They scrap together machines out of parts that don't make any sense, and because they believe, they have the mental imagination that machine will run, it'll run. If that machine's out of gas, you're driving that machine with your fellow orcs, and the biggest orc is behind the wheel, and you run out of gas, some orc behind you is like, oh, Zog, we're out of gas.
Oh, Zog.
And the big orc is like, no, we're not.
Buy
I
more.
filled the fucking gas tank up earlier. And all the other orcs are like, oh, yeah, you did do that. And then you turn the fucking mech back on, and it works again. Does it have gas? Probably not. But
Who cares?
The power of imagination. They paint things red because it makes them think they goes faster.
You paint your red to make it go faster.
It's the sneakiest color. You want to know why? You ever seen a purple orc?
No.
Didn't fucking think so. Orcs are also like ancient as hell. They're back in the Eldari time frame. But back then they were called Krorks, and they were much larger and scarier and far more intelligent. Now they're just orcs, and they're big, dumb, and they smack things. But they're pretty spooky. They're not very well armored, but they hit really hard, and it's called the Green Tide.
Is that Gazgul
because there are
Thraka?
so many orcs. There are about as many orcs as there are Tyranids. Maybe more. Who knows?
Oh.
But they keep on, murdering each other, so it's not too bad of an issue.
They keep
Orcs
on
are
recruiting.
entirely comic relief. Their stuff is slapped together. That makes no sense. Their vehicles don't work the way they're supposed to, but they work because they think it works.
Because apparently, like, if the orcs have like spaceships or like really big starcrafts, they probably have a lot of room in them because they only will have like a simple piece of sheet metal that is protecting them from their like pressurized chamber and the vacuum of space, and through the power of imagination, that is enough. You don't even need to have it welded. You don't even need to have it glued. If they say it works, then it works. I don't know how, but it does. Power of imagination.
Imagine that it works. Orcs care only about who is the biggest orc, and they will follow the biggest orc. And if they want to be the biggest orc, they'll challenge the biggest orc. And then when they go and they
challenge him to a nice crumping.
It's just war in orc. They murder everybody and everything in this giant tide of green orcs who are just excited to be hitting something. They don't care that they're hitting Eldar or the Imperium or Tau or any.
They just getting the crump.
To beat shit up. That's orcs. And on the tabletop, they are a total coin flip, and they're really fun.
And they're really strong.
Met a salty orc player. I have never met someone who plays orcs and is ever just a bad guy or that guy. Orc players have this kind of fun to them because when you play them, you are completely submitting yourself to RNG. So here's the thing. Guardsmen, Imperial Guardsmen, when they shoot, they roll a dice, and on a 4 up, they'll hit their target. They have a 50% chance. Space Marines, pretty good. They hit on a 3 or higher because they're well trained. Adeptus Custodians, they hit on 2s because they're just super well trained. Orcs, they hit on a 5 or higher. But if they roll a 6, they get to make another shot with anything. From the dinkiest pistol to the biggest rocket launcher. It doesn't matter. Half of their stuff will blow up on a whim. One of their medics, if you roll a 1 to heal someone, you fuck up your surgery and you just kill an orc. They're so wacky and silly. But the thing is if you roll well, you roll high, and you keep rolling high, you are going to crush people. And if you don't, you lose. I mean, that's what you get when you play orcs. That's what happens when you play orc. It's a coin flip, which is why you can't be a salty bitch when you play orc.
Well, that's a big stomper.
Things won't go your way. It's just the roll of the dice. You're playing a dice game. But if you're gonna have fun, and you want to be stupid, and you want to be silly, you're gonna play some damn orcs. But on the opposite side of the fun part of this,
we're in Necrons.
The Necrons are spooky, scary skeletons and very grimdark again. They have a
spooky, scary Egyptian space skeletons.
Much more fleshed out lore than before. Back in the day, they were just undead Egyptian space terminators, and they still look that way, but now they actually have a story. So way back in the day, you had the Necrons.
I like Necrons. I like the Necrons. I think they're cool.
Eldar, Krork, Orc, Necron tier. So the Necron tier were this race of generally kind of shitty people. Not because they were personally shitty, but because their lives were awful. They were ill-fated to a horrible existence of like radiation and a terrible planet they lived on, and everything just really sucked. Being a Necron tier was just really depressing. They really were looking for immortality. They were extremely reliant on the hope that they would eventually find the key to living forever and just stave off this horrible nature that they were thrust upon them, and therefore they could become the most dominant race in the galaxy. And they found this group. They're called the Old Ones. Imagine them kind of like the
Old Ones? Not the Cthulhu Old Ones, but different. They're completely different.
Halo or the Xel'Naga in StarCraft, right? Yeah. These Old Ones were these strong, pretty much omnipotent beings. And they, of course...
Is that the Void Weaver?
So the Necrons went to them and said, please, show us your ways. And the Old Ones said, piss off. Not really. They were a lot more humble about it, but they did not want to share their secret of immortality.
What? No. Why?
With the Necrons. The Necrons, of course, took this very well and waged war with them. Kind of under this united banner. The Necron different dynasties didn't really like each other, but under this one man, the Silent King, he thought the best way to unite his race was to do this giant war
the Silent
with
King.
the Old Ones out of spite for them keeping the secret of immortality to them. This was
like, as a Necron enjoyer, the Silent King model is kind of a white whale of mine, as well as like the Shard, right? Shard of the Voidwalker, Shine of the what else is it? I don't even remember. Like, I like the look of their models because I think that Egyptian mythology and history is cool. Did the ancient Egyptians do things that are bad? Of course, every culture does, but it's still cool. I think it's cool, especially like since this is fictional. I think it's even cooler.
Known as the War in Heaven, and this is actually like a multi-stage war, because during this War in Heaven, they discovered the Star Gods, a whole new race of people known as the Catan.
The Catan.
These Star Gods were also very much like Old Ones, almost omnipotent beings, and they too had the key to immortality. And so the Necrons went to them and said, hey, can you help us fight off the Old Ones? Can you help us kill these Old Ones, you, the Catan? And the Catan said yes. And in fact, we can help provide you with the immortality you so desperately seek. So the Silent King of the Necrons decided to make a pact with the Catan to allow them to accept this generous gift of immortality upon them. But this, of course, had been a horrendous trap. And the Necrons were dragged in chains to this biotransference where their flesh was stripped from them, replaced with nothing but a metal hollow shell, as their souls were ripped from their body and fed to the Catan. And the Catan fattened up. They got chonk on the Necrons. As this was their plan all along, they consumed the flesh and souls of the Necron tier and turned them all into unwilling robotic slaves just to serve their will. And then with their newfounded Necron army, they pointed their guns at the old ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these old ones. The old ones did their best to stave it off. They even created other races, the Eldari and the Orcs, to try to fight off the horrifying Necron army. And the
they created they created them.
No possible chance for them. And the old ones were absolutely extinguished across the galaxy. Their entire race completely removed. Full on 100% genocide. However, during all this, the Catan, so just infatuated with their victory, started fighting each other for fun, for sport, and for small differences, doesn't matter. The Catan, with these overpowered people, they're going to eventually hit each other at some point. And as they began just menially fighting
we did it. We're
each other,
best friends ever. We're best friends forever. And then immediately started fighting each other.
Catan's borders a little bit, giving them a little bit of a run for their money. And as this continued, this is when the Silent King, who retained his consciousness, decided to leap into action and start a full-scale revolt against their Catan masters. And this revolt was bloody, as the entire Necron army was surged off to destroy these star gods.
It's not like the Necron warriors, it's the Necron immortals that are the good infantry units. That is something that I didn't understand before, but now I do, and I have, I'll probably need to put that on my throne, and you can check that out if you want to, because I believe I have it in my card in the description.
We're able to, just after suffering horrendous losses, we're able to turn the tide of the war. And they took these Catan and they blasted them. Because as these star gods are unkillable, they were able to break them into thousands of shards and entrap them in giant stasis vaults to now actually be slaves to the Necrons. And with the Necrons having the entirety of their old gods enslaved to them, they realized that soon their race was about to be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Eldari and the Krorks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy that was rightfully theirs. And then some dingus Adeptus Mechanicus guy diddled with a green console, and now the Necrons are back.
Quite literally like what happened in Call of Cthulhu. So like the AdMech saw like something about like the Necron tier, and then they went to like one of the tomb worlds, and then like beep boop 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 boop, and then Necrons are back. You done messed up. You done screwed up.
They see all these primitive races on their lawns, and they think, get the fuck
Get off my lawn!
Necrons are back, super advanced, and they are here to reclaim the galaxy that they so rightfully believe is theirs. Now, at tabletop, they're a lot like that. Tons of undead Egyptian skeleton robots that when they die, they just get right back up because they keep on reanimating. Hard to kill, tons of crazy stuff. You can use the Catan themselves as units.
Yeah, they're slow, but I think they're cool because robots are cool.
One of the three major
They're technically robots.
The Horus Heresy, the Fall of the Eldar, and the Awakening of the Necrons are all pretty substantial events. And the Necrons themselves are pretty dang cool as well. Here's a good quote from a wonderful Dawn of War game. Lucky creatures, as long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs, I was remade. Here, my brethren slumbered for eons while the living grew like weed. My Lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Kronos will be a tomb world once more. Necrons are also pretty smug. Trey's in the Infinite especially, a little dickhead. But speaking of dickheads, last race, let's talk the Tau.
We made a fucking Wookiee.
The exact formation of the Tau Empire is not entirely understood. However, a long time ago, many thousands of years ago, in the 40k world that is, some Imperial navigation vessels were going around through different
stuff
areas,
with fish.
and they saw a primitive race blue people smacking each other with sticks and stones. They thought, nah, dumb Xenos race, who gives a shit, and they bailed. Then this giant warp storm occurred right in that major area, unable to be breached. Then, once that warp storm 6,000 years later subsided, hello, those little sticks. Well, they decided to actually have no war of any kind and all just unite together under one flag of the Tau Empire. And now they have gigantic starships and Gundam robots and lasers and railguns and mechs, and they are here.
Yeah, you'd think as like a fan of Gunpla, you'd think I would be a Tau player. Gundam can be in melee too. Mainly because like the Barbatos is my favorite Gundam mobile suit design, and like the Vidar is, it's just nuts. Ippei Gyobu as a mecha designer, it's a beautiful mobile suit. It's just a shame that I accidentally snapped the hip joints because those friction holding pieces are like so thin. I need to get new parts for that, so I'll probably need to have them resin printed or 3D printed or something.
To ruin your day for the greater good.
The greater good.
Empire. They have this kind of feeling of this homogenous group. All species can go underneath
Tower's
the
still
banner
cool, though.
of the greater good. The greater good.
I like the look of their
idea
mech
the
suits.
Fundamental increase and help of all. In fact, they are most likely the most like the Covenant in Halo, where they have the overarching prophets being
the Covenant with the elites, or the Covenant without the elites.
Ethereals, who are actually kind of dicks and like to pull at strings a little bit, but then you have all these different races directly underneath them, and they all work together in this big group as this large, foreboding race that tries to spread their weirdly pseudo-religious influence across the galaxy. The alien is not intrinsically evil. Do not hate him. Pity him, his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and equate him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good.
The greater good.
The Tau. And if you're kind of wondering like what their mainly big shtick is, well, they're all about big robots and mechs. They have laser rifles and rail guns. They got giant mechs with tons of missile pods and heavy rail rifles and rail guns.
Tower cool.
And burst cannons and ion accelerators and void shields.
Because of the stuff that they do.
And that
they
is
shoot a
generally what the
lot.
Tau's all about. But you're probably thinking, Bricky, this doesn't sound that evil. This doesn't sound very grim, dark Warhammer. And you'd be right. The Tau Empire really don't have that much of a horrifying, grim, dark style like everybody else. They're much more younger, new age thing. In fact, they're probably a lot less evil and a lot even better than they are now back in the day, because they liked having like that good guy faction. But a lot of us who really like the dark, depressing style of Warhammer didn't really like it that much. So, see, the Tau get a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate isn't necessarily unjustified. It's mainly from a tabletop perspective, but as you can see from all the visuals I've shown you recently, they don't really fit in the 40k universe very well. They lack that super dark, dramatic, kind of high gothic level the Imperium has. They don't have the weird kind of like grungy stuff that Chaos or say the Orcs do.
Yeah, like we started this video with Chaos, and now we're ending with the Tau. It's like we're in the same universe, but at the same time we're not.
And the Necrons and the Eldar have their own specific style as well. The Tau really do look like something out of Gundam. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does...
And to be fair, Gundam in and of itself is also kind of grimdark as well. Because if you even look at like Iron-Blooded Orphans, for example, which again, one of my favorite Gundam timelines, you can extract somebody's brain to pilot a mech suit, just like you can in the 40k universe with like dreadnoughts and stuff. And it's horrifying. It's horrifying that a human is able to be like completely extracted and then used in a war machine. Again, like the whole like theme of Gundam is like war is bad and everything, right? but like still giant robot, cool giant robot. Hey, you like that giant robot? Here's a model kit of it that you can just, all you need are like a pair of like hobby nips and a file or something, and then you can just make it. It's cool. You don't need paint or anything, and it's posable. Like it's a model kit and action figure put into one. And as somebody who liked Bionicle growing up, Gundam really spoke to me on that level. And it's like the closest thing I'll ever get to Bionicle on the shelves anymore. It's sad, but we move on. We move on. Gundam is still cool. Tower cool. 40k is cool.
It's definitely not fit too well. There's that. There's also the tabletop problem. In tabletop, Tau are horrible at melee combat, but exceptionally good at range combat. So they blast everyone from really, really far away, and they have a million rules to make it so that it's nearly impossible for you to get into melee combat. So it basically just forces you to bottleneck the game into one specific gameplay style, which is gun to gun. And if you're doing gun to gun, they're going to win every time, because they're the Tau.
A lot of the
Tau
time
are really damn good at shooting. So it's one of those things that make the Tau generally rather hated, and a lot of different reasons for that, both from style and such. But this is actually one of the things I wanted to end this video with, is that the Tau, while they have their issues, you should not be discouraged from playing them. I'll make plenty of Tau weeaboo jokes, of course I will, but it's all generally in good fun. Anyone who legitimately doesn't want you to play a faction is an idiot, and you shouldn't be giving them the time of day. You pick what you think is cool and what you like. In Warhammer, especially now, factions get better and they get worse. They grow and then they fall. You should only be playing what you think is cool. You like the look, you like the models. If you're talking tabletop, that is what you should be going for every time, is what you think is badass, because things change all the time. But the universe of Warhammer has so much going for it. Every faction has something interesting, every character has a story, and there's a million stories to be told. The universe is vast and exciting, and while it is dark, depressing,
agreed 100%, Bricky.
Damn charm. And out of everything I've told you in these two videos, is anything you could take away is the reason why so many of us are so into this series and why we like it so much. Because with so much variety, such an expansive universe, and so much that can be done, you can find yourself having a pretty great time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has been informative to you. If you'd like to see more of me, Bricky, we have twitch.tv/Bricky for my...
Nice, nice. All right. That is the outdated, quote-unquote, version of Bricky's synopses of every Warhammer faction explained, plus the Space Marines, of course. But if you want to see more Warhammer stuff from me, you can always check my stuff out on Twitch. You can check more stuff out on like my YouTube channel, because I do want to make more content like this if you want to see me make it. And right now I'm like on my off week of streaming, but I do have a stream tonight, and I believe when this video goes up, it'll be on the 26th, and I'll be finishing up Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. I did like 70% of it in like 5 hours. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to finish the rest of it, but I hope to see you in chat, and I'll be back tomorrow for another video that you'll most likely will be seeing on this channel. And I have so much more that I want to work on. You have no idea. There's not enough time in the day for me to work on everything, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you had a good time. I'll be back tomorrow for another video, and if you want to see me do more Warhammer related stuff, just leave a comment down below, and I do read every comment, so leave a comment down below and I will take it into consideration for the next for my next batch of videos that I'll be working on. So I wish you a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.